You notice colleagues repeating mistakes despite clear warnings or evidence in front of them. Friends overlook obvious signs in others, dismissing details that later prove crucial. Family members cling to familiar explanations, even when contradictions are apparent to everyone else. Partners rationalize outcomes that seem transparently misaligned with reality, maintaining internal consistency. A friend insists on their interpretation, smoothing over facts that clearly challenge it. At work, decisions repeat predictable errors while everyone acknowledges prior failures silently. You may start seeing these patterns quietly mirrored in your own daily judgments. The behavior first appears external, yet closer attention reveals familiar sequences within yourself. What seems like deliberate ignorance is often an instinctive mechanism preserving emotional and social equilibrium. This is where the mind quietly filters reality, shaping perception before conscious recognition can intervene. You may have thought certain people are simply stubborn, resistant to evidence, or inattentive. Behavioral scientist B.F. Skinner noted that behaviors often follow patterns learned long before conscious awareness. Ignoring obvious truths is not necessarily defiance, but a protective response to uncertainty and threat. When friends overlook facts, their minds may prioritize emotional stability over immediate accuracy of perception. Family members defending familiar explanations respond instinctively, preserving cohesion and reducing internal tension. Even in calm discussions, subtle physiological cues, tightening muscles, quickened breath, precede reasoning and guide reactions. A colleague's insistence may be shaped by previously learned sequences of safe social navigation. Psychologist Carl Jung observed that the unconscious frequently dictates behavior, even in the presence of clear evidence. You notice that explanations often follow emotional responses, retroactively making instinct appear rational. Friends' immediate alignment or dismissal mirrors adaptive behaviors learned long before conscious reasoning could participate. Partners maintain certainty to reduce cognitive dissonance, shaping arguments around the emotional priority of stability. Workplace decisions often follow familiar instinctive paths, with reasoning adjusted after emotional comfort is preserved. Even minor disagreements reveal automatic defenses constructed to reduce perceived threat while maintaining social bonds. Family arguments exhibit rapid alignment with prior beliefs, smoothing tension before conscious evaluation engages fully. Social patterns show that emotional instinct often precedes awareness, forming the invisible scaffolding of interpretation. Microreactions, gestures, tone shifts, subtle facial expressions reveal protective mechanisms acting before reflection occurs. You may notice this pattern across friendships, colleagues, and partners, quietly shaping how evidence is processed. What feels like rational choice often reflects a rapid filtering system designed to maintain psychological equilibrium. This recognition quietly reframes perceived stubbornness as an adaptive mechanism, learned and rehearsed across a lifetime. Understanding this prepares us to trace its origins, where early conditioning and evolutionary pressures first established these patterns.
If you're still watching, you probably notice things most people miss. You question behavior, you look beneath the surface. If that sounds like you, subscribe. This channel was made for minds like yours.
From early childhood, the mind learns to protect stability, sometimes at the expense of obvious evidence. Parents' reactions to mistakes often conditioned rapid alignment with familiar explanations, shaping instinctive responses to perceived threat. Siblings' competition and negotiation train the brain to prioritize safety and cohesion over immediate accuracy. Playground interactions created subtle lessons about when to accept reality and when to preserve emotional equilibrium. Even small reprimands or praise reinforced patterns of selective attention, teaching early filtering of information. Behavioral scientist B.F. Skinner noted that reinforcement shapes responses, often before conscious understanding emerges. Observing adults' reactions provided models for rapid judgment, internalized long before reflective reasoning could intervene. Minor anxieties trained the brain to ignore conflicting data, favoring familiar pathways that maintained emotional stability. Attachment theory illustrates how early relational experiences teach the brain to protect bonds over embracing challenging truths. Psychoanalyst Erik Erikson described developmental stages where early social learning embeds patterns that persist silently into adulthood. Fear-based responses to criticism or exclusion further entrenched habits of selective awareness and reasoning afterward. Cultural and familial reinforcement subtly encouraged consistency with known explanations, shaping perception from the start. Games, conflicts, and negotiated compromises created neural templates for when to see reality fully and when to protect harmony. Even casual teasing left lasting impressions, training automatic defenses against perceived social threat. The brain became adept at constructing explanations post hoc, prioritizing psychological comfort over factual accuracy. Childhood rewards for getting along over being right reinforced instinctive avoidance of disruptive truths. Evolutionary psychologists suggest these patterns were adaptive, reducing conflict and enhancing survival in socially complex environments. By adolescence, the mind had internalized sequences favoring alignment and stability over immediate recognition of contradictions. These instinctive filters were repeatedly strengthened through social learning, observation, and environmental feedback loops. Understanding the origin of selective awareness prepares us to see how these patterns manifest daily in social life. In friendships, people often repeat oversights, clinging to familiar explanations before examining facts consciously. A friend may dismiss an obvious inconsistency, later rationalizing the choice to maintain group harmony. Family discussions reveal protective alignment, where instinct preserves cohesion despite clear evidence to the contrary. Partners may rationalize repeated misjudgments, prioritizing relational stability over confronting uncomfortable truths directly. Colleagues routinely defend previously failed strategies, their reasoning following emotional patterns established long before analysis. Even casual debates show micro-adjustments, tone, posture, gestures that indicate protective instinct operating before thought. Friends nod quickly in agreement, signaling instinctive alignment with the social environment rather than careful consideration. Workplace hierarchies shape instinctive responses, favoring conformity and safety over acknowledging challenging truths openly. Family arguments often escalate and resolve not through facts, but via pre-learned social patterns designed to reduce tension. Subtle mirroring occurs as people unconsciously adapt to emotional cues, prioritizing cohesion over factual accuracy. A partner's calm justification often follows an instinctive emotional reaction that dictated initial behavior unconsciously. Even in casual social gatherings, repeated oversights and rationalizations reflect deep-rooted survival mechanisms. Different people notice this pattern in different moments. Sharing observations sometimes helps others recognize it too. Social norms reward consistency, teaching the brain to filter uncomfortable evidence while maintaining group trust. Microreactions, glances, sighs, brief pauses, reveal instinct shaping conversation long before reasoning intervenes. Workplace decisions frequently appear deliberate, yet they follow emotional and social patterns learned over years. Friends' emotional alignment often precedes conscious thought, their reasoning constructed retroactively to justify instinctive choices. Parents' subtle cues in family settings continue shaping instinctive protective responses into adulthood. Even laughter or quick agreement often conceals instinctive filtering, preserving comfort while ignoring disruptive truths. Observation of these behaviors demonstrates how survival mechanisms persist in modern social interactions, quietly guiding perception. The way these patterns unfold socially sets the stage for understanding how modern life intensifies their effect. Digital life accelerates instinctive filtering, rewarding rapid alignment and quick emotional responses over careful analysis. Notifications, alerts, and social media interactions trigger near-instant judgments, often preceding reasoned understanding. Algorithms highlight content that confirms existing beliefs, reinforcing selective perception and deepening habitual oversight. Cultural pressure emphasizes speed and decisiveness, rewarding instinctive choices that appear confident even when evidence contradicts them. News cycles train the mind to react first and rationalize later, embedding reflexive patterns throughout daily life. Online disagreements escalate because emotional interpretations arrive before deliberate thought can moderate responses. Even brief comments provoke instinctive judgments, shaped by previously learned patterns of social survival. Digital validation, likes, shares, reactions, reinforces alignment with familiar interpretations, rewarding protective cognitive filters. Workplace communication in virtual spaces magnifies these tendencies, emphasizing rapid response over reflective reasoning. Behavioral science observes that repeated micro-reinforcements strengthen neural pathways, favoring instinctual filtering of information. Emails and instant messages carry subtle cues, prompting pre-conscious evaluation before conscious processing occurs. Social comparison online intensifies instinctive judgments, creating strong emotional reactions to perceived approval or criticism. Cognitive dissonance emerges subtly as the brain rationalizes contradictions to preserve comfort and coherence in digital interactions. Even well-considered posts often follow a chain of instinctive evaluation, shaped by prior patterns learned early in life. Colleagues or friends' microreactions online echo the same protective responses, amplified by the speed and visibility of technology. Group dynamics now extend to global networks, magnifying automatic responses to perceived threat or disagreement. Subtle incentives in culture and work reward alignment and instinct-driven judgment, further reinforcing selective attention to evidence. Neurological loops formed over years are constantly activated, shaping perception and emotional reaction in modern environments. What once occurred occasionally now happens continuously, embedding the habit of ignoring inconvenient truths into daily life. Recognition of this modern amplification leads naturally to a deeper awareness of the pattern, highlighting instinct's hidden power. Observation brings quiet recognition. Instinct often filters reality before conscious thought has a chance to intervene. You notice how effortlessly the mind preserves familiar explanations, smoothing over contradictions before reasoning engages. Partners' immediate responses, colleagues' rapid alignments, friends' automatic justifications all follow patterns shaped long ago. Even in calm reflection, emotional reactions surface first, while conscious awareness reconstructs a rational story afterward. Family interactions reveal layers of protective filtering, enacted silently to maintain stability and reduce perceived threat. Laughter, agreement, and microgestures often mask instinctive alignment, creating the illusion of deliberate understanding. Psychologist Carl Jung observed that the unconscious frequently shapes behavior, guiding actions beneath conscious recognition. What feels like choice may simply be the brain executing pre-learned sequences of protection and social cohesion. Cognitive dissonance quietly orchestrates explanation after instinct, aligning internal narrative with emotional priority rather than external reality. Everyday decisions, small and large, follow this invisible architecture where instinct acts first, reasoning trails behind. Even careful reflection cannot fully separate what is chosen from what is instinctively filtered and reconstructed. Moments of clarity are rare, fleeting glimpses of the processes that shape perception in real time. Subtle discomfort arises when noticing how much of behavior is automated, operating beyond conscious command. Friends and colleagues' actions become more comprehensible, yet the pattern remains unsettling in its pervasiveness. Shared experiences reveal instinct threading through human interaction, binding emotional response to social expectation. Even repeated observation does not grant full mastery over these automatic sequences. Awareness only illuminates them. What appears deliberate may be an unfolding of survival mechanisms rehearsed for decades within the nervous system. The mind continues its quiet calculations, aligning perception, explanation, and response long before awareness catches up. One reflection lingers unresolved. How much of what we accept as truth is shaped by instinctive filtering alone? And within that awareness rests a subtle tension, an echo of the unconscious shaping everything we think we see.